give the lady whatever she wants. You'll tell the barkeep. Like that's even possible. This is the way I dress in real life. And these are my Dia de los Muertos earrings, calaveras, which double as my Film Noir earrings, and also my Poem Noir earrings. This phone is ringing. That's very suspenseful. When a phone rings, it means something is going to happen, something important. I'm in a state of suspense. How about you? Hello? Joe? I thought I recognized your ominous silence. So, what happened, Joe? Are you out? Did they spring you or did you break out? What am I doing? He wants to know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to hold the receiver in my upstage hand. Because you remember the first time? I was holding the receiver in my downstage hand. Because men like you, they do things like that to me. They make me hold the receiver in my downstage hand. Oh, huh? Well, that's not my fault. He's mad at me. He's mad at me. Listen, Joe, there's no way that I was going to put up your bail. I know that when people put up bail for men, they don't pay them back. I watch Judge Judy. Do you think I'm stupid? I don't, maybe. House of Pies? Let me get back to you. I'm on television. Right now we're on television. YouTube. Okay. He's reminding me I'm on YouTube. You're always running me down. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you. All right. Okay, so it's December 2nd. I'm in LA, and this is YouTube. Just so we get that straight. By the way, it's not what it looks like. Things aren't always what they look like. Things aren't always what they appear. Look, even my nails are not real. Okay? We're going to talk about femme fatales, talking about things that are not always as they seem, not always what people tell you they are, not always what you expect. There's a sort of stock way of looking at and talking about the femme fatale. What about the homme fatale? Like somebody we won't mention again. What about the homme fatale? Nobody ever talks about the homme fatale. I'm going to talk about the homme fatale down the line. You have to keep tuning in. I want to talk about how people perceive her. And I'm going to respond to a very famous feminist theorist, critic, right? Marianne Doan. She's around my age. She's a lot more successful than I am. I got to admit it. You know, I know when I'm beat. She's over there at UC Berkeley, very famous in her field. She's written about the femme fatale. I have some questions for Marianne Doan and her theory that it is an expression of male anxiety, male fear of women's power, right? I wonder about this. I wonder about unconscious expressions of things. Now, she is somewhat a scholar of Freud. She has an ongoing conversation with Freud, even though he's dead, so he doesn't hear her. But she's a student of his writings. She agrees with him on some points and not on others, but she seems to believe very much in unconscious expressions which come out as imagery. Here's my issue. First of all, if these movies made in the 40s, if they're unconscious expressions of male fear, collective male fear, then what were they trying to do consciously? Because that's a variable that we have to look at first. What did the men think they were doing back in the 40s and into the 50s and maybe into the 60s when they created these figures that we refer to as femme fatales, as if we even know what that really is? First of all, make a film script that's going to sell, that they can sell to the studios and get some money for. And secondly, then get it made and then get it out to audiences, and the audiences will like it and they will pay to see it and everybody will make money. That's the conscious desire. And then I think, well, what is a movie that's a crime movie? What does it need in order to get made? Make some money. Well, I know, in the 50s, and before I was born, in the 40s, there were men all over the place, believe me. And I wasn't around in the 40s, but I know there were men all over the place. Most of the criminals were men. Most of the people trying to capture the criminals were men. The detectives trying to resolve the crime, they were men. So you got a movie with a lot of men in it. Oh, that's boring. So you need some variety. You need some women. Now, they were men making the movie. They thought the women were always beautiful. I have a complaint about that. By the way, and I agree with Marianne Doan a little bit about this, although I have a different reason behind my feelings about it. I get a little tired of seeing only beautiful women, glamorous women, and all these frumpy, borderline middle-aged looking men. That's another whole episode we'll get to later. But they're going to have women. They could think of 2 women to have. Their imaginations were a little narrow in those days. They can think of the good woman and they can think of the evil woman. They get that far, right? But there's going to be a crime. Of course, there's going to be a crime. So there's going to be a woman who assists the man in committing a murder or committing a heist. Now, if it was a love story, it would be something different, right? But I'm not sure that the women are evil because they express men's anxiety and fear of power. I think they're evil because somebody's got to throw in with the man to create a crime. But here's the other thing I disagree with, that they're all the same. You have women, you take Joan Bennett playing Kitty Marsh in Scarlet Street, right? She's pretty evil. She's one of the most evil women, not quite as bad as Phyllis in Double Indemnity, not quite as bad as Barbara Stanwyck is in that role, but she's pretty bad because she entangles the sweet little Christopher Cross, played by Edward G. Robinson, a sweet, non-violent little character. She pulls him into her scheme, right? Pulls him into a shady deal, ensnares him with her sexuality.
Chris, maybe I could pay you back. If you put up the money for a studio apartment, then I'd have a place to live and you could paint there. Don't you see? You could paint my portrait.
But then, really, along the way, you find out she doesn't have the real power. She was never the powerful one. She herself is being manipulated by a bad man that is an abuser. By contemporary standards, as we would see that movie today, she is herself ensnared by an abusing man named Johnny, played by Dan Drury, who is really the one who's pulling the strings.
Just drop a hint that his wife might find out about this apartment and he'll shell out fast.
That's blackmail.
It's only blackmail, baby, when you're dumb enough to get caught.
I'm instructed to believe that the woman is evil and is the source of the good man being pulled into crooked schemes. But what the movie is telling me, what the script is and the story are telling me, is something totally different. There is a man, an evil man behind the evil woman who has the ultimate power. And so I would ask everybody, when you're watching, first of all, don't buy into what you're told. Buy into what you see in front of your eyes. Buy into what the story is really telling you. Take Double Indemnity. Okay. Barbara Stanwyck's character, Phyllis. She's pretty evil, right? I don't doubt it. She's a killer. But at the end, two lovers meet. They're both ready to kill each other. Which one is the one who's able to go through with it? And which one realizes she can't shoot her lover?
I'm rotten to the heart. I used you just as you said. That's all you ever meant to me. Until a minute ago, when I couldn't fire that second shot. I never thought that could happen to me.
Sorry, baby, I'm not buying.
I'm not asking you to buy. Just hold me close.
Goodbye, baby.
See what I'm telling you? I think sometimes these stories are more complicated than we're told. There's other layers. So what I like in poetry is the poems that don't necessarily buy into the stock, stereotyped, pat character of the femme fatale, or even the stock accepted feminist theories or anybody else's theories about what the femme fatales are doing in these movies. I think if you look at all of them, you'll find out that very few of them line up exactly with the formula, that usually there's a variation. And I'm going to ask everybody, in fact, I'm not even asking. I'm just telling you right now, look to see who has the real power that's behind the people who think they have the power. Chinatown, back to that again. Who has the real power? The system. The system,
Put that gun
right?
away. Let the police handle this.
He owns the police! Get away from her.
You'll have to kill me first.
Get away! Captain, close the door.
Halt!
I have a mysterious drawer here. Have you ever noticed it? It's very mysterious. I have things, mysterious things in my mysterious drawer. Now, what did I just tell you? I told you that I like contemporary poems that defy the cliches. I like the ones that have a twist. Now, a very well-known poet in Los Angeles. Everybody here in the Poetry Mon knows her. She publishes a lot. She's a great photographer. She's both a photographer and a poet. Her photographs are almost as famous as her poems, maybe equal to her poems. And you already know what I'm going to tell you, because there's only one of those. Really admired photographer, admired poet. Alexis Rhone Fancher. Fancher. I think it's one of those that you can say in French. Fancher. I won't try saying it in French, but you could if you wanted to. She published this poem in the San Pedro River Review. That's a good magazine. Good work in that magazine, the San Pedro River Review. And in fact, if you're only subscribing to one literary magazine right now, the second one you should subscribe to is the San Pedro River Review. And if you're not subscribing to any literary magazines, what the hell is wrong with you? I mean, really, you don't even admit that in public. So this poem has a title that is revealing, puts a little twist on the story. Instead of being about the femme fatale, it's about the femme fatale stalker. So who is really fatal in this situation? Who's really dangerous? Always ask yourself that. Where's the real source of the danger coming from? It is called, she says, stalker. He says, fan. It's one of those binary things. Binary. Is that the word of 2018? I hear it all the time now. She's a singed torch song, a broken chord, the slip shadow between superstar and the door. She's that long stretch of longing, riding shotgun from nowhere to LA, a bottle of Jack Daniels snug between her thighs, some fresh loser at the wheel. She's a Zippo in your darkness, a glimmer of goddess in your God-forsaken life. Her voice, a rasp, a whiskey-tinged caress. She gets you, and you know the words to all her songs. Follow her from dive bar to third rate club, clapping too loudly, making sure she makes it home. She's as luckless in love as you are, star-crossed, the pair of you in your dreams. If only we could choose who we love. Tonight, the bartender pours your obsession one on the house, dims the lights in the half-empty room as she walks on stage. Defenseless, but for that 0018 rosewood martin she cradles in her lap like a child. If you ask nicely, she'll end with a song you request night after night. About the perils of unrequited love. You'll blurt out your worship into her deaf ear while her fingers strum your forearm and her nails break your skin. Give the lady whatever she wants, you'll tell the barkeep. Like that's even possible. Alexis, Rhone, Fancher. There's always the sense of the erotic that courses through her poetry. Published in the San Pedro River Review. That's noir. This passes as noir, right? Now, oh, I have an envelope. What's my envelope? Something surprises for myself. I made myself oh, I remember this. It's my problem with theory, with the realm of literary theory. Even feminist theory, I have to say, I haven't had this problem, even though I consider myself a sort of renegade bad feminist. I'm a bad feminist. The words that keep coming up, I don't like these words. I'm going to just pick three. I'm just going to take three words that I don't like. Okay, that I see all the time in theory. Metronymic. I don't like that word. Okay, metronymic. Epistemological. Epistemological. How do you feel about that word, epistemological? I suppose it has its uses. It has its uses. I'm not saying anything against it. I just don't like it. Here's my last one. Phenomenological. I have to do one more. I'm sure it has its uses. I'm not in favor of banning it. It just irritates me. And finally, empiricist. All words that annoy me, but that's because I'm a poet. And here's what bothers me about these words. They are not the words of poetry. They're bad for poetry. For one, there's three things. Can you figure out what they are? I'm going to give you a moment out there. Figure out these three things. I'll call Joe later. It doesn't give me a reason to call him. I'm not saying I'm going to see him. I'm not going to necessarily see him, but I would be interested to know what he thinks the three things are, why they are bad for poetry, and why they irritate me. One, they are not sensual. Two, they are not powerful. Three, there are too goddamn many syllables in them. That's what I'm saying. Now, I got nothing left. I'm going to have to say goodbye. All right. Good night, ladies. Gentlemen. Good night, gentlemen. And remember, look both ways. Watch your back and don't let anybody treat you like you are two for a dime.